Nick Suzuki scores a goal. The young guys played great. We have some positives, but Montreal once again loses to
Minnesota!
I'm here to break that all down for you. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to November 1st game recap edition of Habs Digest. And before we get into the game recap, another very quick reminder, 89+% of you guys who are watching are not subscribed. We're over 1,300 subscribers now, which is amazing. We love the support you guys have been giving us. But if you notice you haven't clicked that subscribe button and you like daily Habs content for all your news, rumors, and game recaps, we got your back right here. All right, well, I guess that means it's time to get into this game. No Jesse here today. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, but it is his birthday on November 1st, so make sure to wish Jesse a happy birthday in the comments. Yeah, so it's just me here today to talk about this rather disappointing game. Again, I feel like I have a lot of the same things to say as the last time out against Minnesota, but also we have a lot more things that went right this time. One thing I noticed this whole game was that Montreal really was playing with an amazing energy compared to last time out versus Minnesota. From the first whistle, from as soon as the puck was dropped, Montreal was hustling all around the ice. There were specific guys who were doing really well. Gallagher was everywhere. I thought Rem Pitlick had a great game. Yoel Armia continues to impress. But it just felt like even though we were pressuring, even though we had, in my opinion, one of our better, puck moving and skating games of the season, we were just outmatched again. So what was the downfall of Montreal? Well, the first goal from Minnesota was a bit unlucky, right? Well, unlucky in some sense. I don't think Montreal's defense played too poorly. Of course, it started off with just a little minor rush from Minnesota, a save that Jake Allen probably should have had, but he gave up a little bit of a juicy rebound. No one covered Mason Shaw, and he was able to tuck it short side backhand off a little break. It wasn't even a 2-on-1 or anything. It was just a bad rebound on a close range shot, and Mason Shaw was able to put it home. Sure, no big deal. But one thing that happened right after that Montreal has been doing this whole season seemingly, and it drives me insane, is that we keep shooting ourselves in the foot when we have a chance to change the momentum. We've seen it in games earlier this season. We've had, say, a power play and someone takes an ill-advised penalty. The other team scores. We've been really, really, really good at pushing the pace, putting on a lot of pressure right after the other team scores a goal. We saw it tonight in stretches. We saw it last game in St. Louis. We've seen it pretty much all season long where Montreal really gets amped, motivated after something negative happens, mainly when the other team scores a goal. But that didn't really happen tonight because as soon as Shaw scored that, just very soon after, we took an ill-advised penalty. And what did that lead to? It led to Minnesota, who is a top 5 power play in the entire NHL. I mean, to no surprise of anyone, Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Zuccarello, Matt Boldy, just what an incredible trio. As some of you may know, Minnesota is my second team behind Montreal. So when I'm watching these games, it's entertaining no matter what. And Kaprizov is just one of the best players in the NHL, and we saw that again tonight. Every time he has the puck, you hold your breath. You think he's going to do something dazzling, outstanding, and he really proved that tonight with 2 more goals. But I'm not here to talk about them. Sure, they scored on that power play right after. Right after Mason Shaw scores, Montreal takes a penalty, and they come back, and Kaprizov has a great tip to put it into the net. So in a vacuum, I shouldn't be surprised that Minnesota scores on a power play. Kirill Kaprizov gets a power play goal. But what I'm upset at is that Montreal, as I said, a team that's great at, pushing back after they get scored on, is just sometimes, they're just ready to shoot themselves in the foot, just take themselves completely out of the game by taking a penalty or just maybe one really bad turnover that leads to the other team coming the other way. And it's happened a number of times already, and tonight was no different. As soon as we got that penalty, I just felt it coming. We were ready to go on a rush, killed any momentum that we may have had after the Shaw goal, which I think was really none, but then Minnesota comes back and scores. Okay, fine. Now it's time to pony up, and we got to push back, all right? We're down 2-0. We got to keep trying. And what do you know? I mean, we go on a little bit of a rush. We push a little bit. We have a couple good chances, but we just couldn't pot a goal. I think one of the big problems tonight is not that Montreal played bad. I think Minnesota played really well. I think Jake Allen played well. I don't think he made too many mistakes tonight. But I think Fleury was really good in net. He made some really, really clutch saves. One namely, actually. So, well, I mean, let's get into the Suzuki goal. So, I know I'm a bit all over the place tonight. This game just really frustrated me. I'm tired. It's been a long day. But, okay, let's get into the Suzuki goal. So, late in the game, Montreal gets a power play. I believe it was Tyson Jost gets a sort of a phantom cross-checking call. I mean, I didn't even see a replay on the TSN stream. I mean, I didn't think it was a penalty in real time, but the ref called it. Sort of a pity call for Montreal, whatever. But it was a good chance for Montreal to run back this 5-forward power play that they've been running for a few games now and see what they can do. Just see if they can keep this power play clicking. Because earlier in the game, we had a chance and we couldn't put one home, but we had another one. And sure enough, it worked great. We were all over Minnesota in their own zone. We were passing the puck great. It just felt like Suzuki had an extra burst of speed, like he picked up a speed boost or something. And he was just getting to different spots, and the puck movement was amazing. A little pass to Suzuki, right dead center in the slot. And I thought it was a cheeky shot too, because as Fleury was adjusting, Fleury was in his left side of the net. If you're Montreal looking at him, it would have been your right side. And the pass comes to Suzuki, who is in the center, and Fleury has to kind of come across the net towards the middle of the net. And instead of Suzuki shooting far side into where maybe the net would be more open, because that's Fleury was on the opposite side of the net, you think Suzuki would go far side. No, he goes short side to counteract Fleury's movement, to kind of handcuff him a bit, and the puck goes straight past. I mean, it was a snipe of a shot. It was hammered, perfect one-timer, right into the side of the net. So it was a great goal from Suzuki. And Montreal, feeding off that energy, immediately after sprung Brendan Gallagher on a breakaway, who, by the way, had an amazing game tonight. He must have had, I don't know, the base bar is probably showing down here how many shots he had. I don't even know, to be honest, but he had a lot. He was all around the net all night long. He had multiple opportunities to tip in goals. He couldn't quite put one through. He was firing the puck from everywhere. It just felt like he was desperate to get a goal tonight. And he almost did a couple times, but namely in this third period, right? Suzuki scores the power play goal with about 6 minutes left. We're down 3-1. If we can get another goal quick, this game's not over. Montreal has shown that they've been very clutch in late game situations, especially with the goalie pulled. Not tonight, spoiler alert, but anyway. We sprung Gallagher immediately. I believe it was Dvorak who sent the pass. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but Gallagher was on a wide open breakaway. And credit Fleury, he came way out of his crease to cut down the angle. Gallagher went for a little blocker side shot, and Fleury easily steered it aside. I mean, I say easily. It's not an easy save ever when there's a breakaway, but Gallagher just couldn't pot it. I mean, you can feel his frustration mounting, not just from this season, but from last season, maybe even the season before. Just, he's ready to finally get going back to his 20-plus goal self, and it just feels like the hockey gods don't want him to sometimes. But yeah, I mean, so after he didn't score that, Montreal kept pressing for the rest of the game, really, until Martin St. Louis decides to pull Jake Allen, and soon after Jake Allen got pulled while down 2 goals, Minnesota went for an ice, really. They kind of just tossed it down the ice, but they hustled after it. I believe it was Connor Dewar managed to get to the puck first to beat out the icing, feed it in front. Matt Boldy shot it through Sean Monahan, who tried to block it, but couldn't do it. 4-1, and that would be your final score. But after the final buzzer, we had a little bit of a scrum. And I wanted to talk about this. Well, actually, not even after the final buzzer, with about a minute left. After that goal, I should say. There was a questionable hit. It was Marco Rossi hitting Juraj Slavkovsky. And I know a lot of you are coming to this video, and you're probably going to want to angrily comment about Marco Rossi. Talking about this hit, you're going to want to just see what I have to say. And it might hurt you guys to hear this, but I don't think it was a bad hit. Let me finish. I don't think it was a bad hit. I do think it was an unnecessary hit. You're up 4-1 with about a minute and 20 left, and Slavkovsky is just skating with the puck, heading towards center, just kind of trying to clear it out of the zone. He loses an edge. He kind of loses his balance a bit. He kind of just lets up. Rossi, 2-hand, boom, pushes him. And, of course, Slav goes slamming into the boards while hitting his head on the boards. And he was very, very shaken up after. We can only hope he's okay. I hope it's not a concussion. That would be worst case scenario. But, of course, immediately the Habs went after Rossi, who went over to the bench, and Mason Shaw decided to fight Jake Evans instead. Rossi, of course, didn't even get as much as a slash really on that play. He was just he kind of went to the bench alone. Avoided all confrontation after that hit. Again, I don't think it was a dirty hit. I think it was a clean hit. I also think SLAFKOVSKY should have had his head up, but I don't think in that situation, being up as many goals as you are, you need to be, full extension close to the boards when a guy is just trying to kind of end this game out. So I don't like that Rossi did that, but I also don't agree with the fans calling for his head, saying he's a dirty blah blah blah. It's always tough when you're in that situation, and you're Rossi, and you're a young player. It's really, he played a couple games last year with Minnesota, but it's his first real NHL season. I mean, it's probably just some rookie mistake. Maybe he didn't want to do that. He got some good, hits from Jack-I in the next possession. And that's one thing, too, I wanted to talk about. Immediately after this, Jake Evans took the extra 2-minute minor for roughing after fighting Mason Shaw and going after him after Rossi hit SLAFKOVSKY. And on that ensuing power play, Dean Evason, the coach of the Minnesota Wild, decides to send Rossi right back out there on the power play to maybe get him his first NHL goal. He had his first NHL point, I believe, on an assist to Kaprizov earlier in the game, which was also a bit controversial. It was a 2-on-1. Kaprizov tried to pass across to Rossi. It was blocked by, I think it was David Savard, and the puck went up in the air. Rossi kind of tapped it down out of the air. I thought it was a bit above shoulder height. The goal ended up standing, whatever. He taps it out of the air at about shoulder height, down to Kaprizov, who pots home a second of the game. But anyway, I guess Dean Evason wanted Marco Rossi to get his first career goal or something. But I thought that was really stupid, because you knew that after that hit on SLAFKOVSKY, everyone on Montreal was going to go after him. And we saw Jack-I do exactly that. We cleared the puck, and Rossi went back into his own end, and Jack-I followed him. Our defenseman late in the game on the penalty kill followed him all the way back into Rossi's own end and just started hitting him, started chasing him with the puck. Two hands, just kind of punching him. And honestly, I think it was deserved. I think Rossi completely deserved that. I'm super glad that Arbor Jack-I is again showing how awesome it is to have a player like that on the team. Someone who is just not afraid to ever go after someone who attacks one of your young guys. You hit SLAFKOVSKY, you got to deal with Jack-I. And you can tell immediately Minnesota did not want to deal with him. The announcers even pointed that out. He's a big guy. He could knock Rossi down if he wanted to. But they held Jack-I back. They protected Rossi. And, I mean, it is what it is. If that was someone on our team, some young rookie, let's say Jordan Harris or something, did something similar, we'd probably be defending him. But all the same, I don't condone what Rossi did. I think it was a bad decision. Not a bad hit, but a very bad decision. And I'm just glad to see Jack-I step up and defend our boy SLAFKOVSKY. Boy, what else to really talk about this game? I mean, Suzuki's goal and that end of game scrum really were two of just the main points for Montreal tonight. I did want to touch on which lines were doing well, though. I did want to say that Suzuki, Caulfield, and Dach again proved to be our best line. That combination of those three has been phenomenal. Dach just fits so well with them. Sure, he hasn't been able to really do a ton yet with them so far, but he's looked amazing. Right? He hasn't scored a goal with this line, and maybe he has an assist or two, but he looks so smooth. The smoothness combined with the size is a perfect fit alongside Suzuki and Caulfield. And if you saw the news video yesterday, you saw that St. Louis is looking for someone that can play their own game, that can complement the two guys who he's playing with. As a third player on that line with your two stars in Suzuki and Caulfield, you need to be able to sort of feed them, let them do their thing while winning puck battles, getting the puck to the front of the net. And that's exactly what Kirby Dach has been doing. Super impressed with him. I also thought the Dvorak-Gallagher-Anderson line tonight was just great. Like, all three of them. Dvorak was playing with an extra edge after getting the hat trick in his last game. Anderson being physical as always, really kind of crashing the net. And Brendan Gallagher was absolutely everywhere tonight. There was a point, though, in the third period where he went for another little tip-in down low, and Spurgeon kind of knocked him down, and Spurgeon was giving him cross-checks, giving him shots for about 10-20 seconds, and the refs were just staring at him. I mean, Chris Lee was reffing, and if you Habs fans remember him, he's not exactly well-liked in Montreal Canadiens land for certain calls a couple seasons ago, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But I thought he had a poor performance again tonight, just letting things go that shouldn't be let go. Player gets hit, and your team wants to retaliate. Chris Lee wasn't letting us. I mean, either let him play like you were when Spurgeon was giving Gallagher a ton of shots, or don't let him play like you were when Jack was going after Rossi. It felt like he was really protecting Minnesota tonight, which was a little frustrating. I know we were down. I know it was 4-1 and all that, but come on. Like, you got to let us do a little bit back if they're going to be doing that to us, right? So that was a little frustrating. But anyway, the Gallagher, Dvorak, Anderson line was great. And Yoel Armia, man, I feel like I say it every time I see him. He just, you notice him on the ice. He's so smooth. His hands are incredible. His ability to, whatever line he's on, to keep the puck cycling is so great. And I wanted to talk a bit about our second power play again tonight. We saw SLAFKOVSKY again on the second power play, which I was super happy about. And he had a really good stretch there in the I believe it was our second power play. Maybe it was our first power play. He just, he comes in, takes it from about his own end, and just starts bodying people. Like, people are bouncing off him as he's getting into the zone. He keeps the puck. He's just bouncing left and right. Somehow makes his way down to the hash marks. Like, he was just a one-man freight train getting into the offensive zone. And he set up a power play. The power play got going. And sure enough, after it got going, it came to SLAFKOVSKY just at the top of the right-hand circle. And instead of shooting, it looked like he really wanted to shoot, of course, to get that third NHL goal, the third goal in 3 games for him. He kind of looked at the net, kind of faked the shot, and just did a quick, hard pass to Gallagher, who was right in the slot, ready for a tip on net. And Gallagher, unfortunately, tipped it wide, and it went up into the netting. And you saw Gallagher after that. He bent over and just looked at the ice for about 5 seconds, knowing that he had a really good chance to score there off of a great SLAFKOVSKY pass. So SLAFKOVSKY was awesome again tonight. Despite that, final play, we pray he's okay. I mean, the last thing we want is a SLAFKOVSKY injury. So we got to just hope that he'll be all right. And he seemed okay. He was sitting on the bench. He didn't go straight to the locker room. There was a minute left in the game, and he stayed on the bench. So that's definitely some good news. Good on Jake Evans again for stepping in and fighting Mason Shaw immediately after. We love Jake Evans. I mean, he does a bit of everything, right? Offensive spark, great forward checker, great defensive player, and goes after the fight for his young guy. But yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. I mean, the Habs haven't won in Minnesota since 2011 now. That marks our 9th straight loss in that arena, which is our most consecutive against our longest active streak in any arena right now. 9 straight losses in the XL Energy Center. But yeah, it's just, okay. It's frustrating, right? I'm just to summarize this again. I know my thoughts are a bit all over the place tonight, but as you can tell, I'm angry. I'm angry at
Minnesota!
The way they played is they're so fun to watch. They're my second favorite team. But when I'm cheering for Montreal in this game, of course I am here. You can tell they're my main guys. It's just, I want to pull my hair out when Minnesota gets physical. The refs are just letting them kind of go, except for maybe a penalty call here and there. And Montreal can't do anything in return. But not only that, it's what Montreal does to themselves, seemingly mostly against this team, against the Minnesota Wild. They've done it twice this season so far, where we have a chance to come in and come back after a goal and score, and we just shoot ourselves in the foot over and over and over again. I mean, even on that third goal, that one I was talking about earlier, where Rossi bats it down to Kaprizov, preceding that was 2 or 3 minutes of just Habs dominance. Right? We had been scored on with that second goal. We're still rallying from that. We're trying to put something together. We're really playing well in the offensive zone. Fleury made a couple of decent saves. I didn't think Fleury had to make any spectacular saves tonight. I don't think we really challenged him a ton. We had plenty of shots. We did have some good chances. I believe he had a nice save on a Caulfield shot. Just clipped it with his shoulder. But he stood tall. He did what he needed to do. And that Suzuki goal, there's nothing he could do. Nothing he could do about that. But after those 2 or 3 minutes of Habs dominance, we get caught flat-footed, and it's a 2-on-1, and they score immediately. It's just, I know it doesn't really matter if we win or lose this season, but those are the kind of mistakes that, even if you're a tanking team, you can't have them. Right? We're good at pushing back, but we gotta stop shooting ourselves in the foot. So many young players making mistakes, as we expect. I mean, we need them to grow. They need to make these mistakes to realize they can't do it again to grow. But it's a theme that we've seen almost every game. And I think it needs to be fixed before we can truly get rolling if we, if we really want to string more and more wins together this season. So that's going to be it for this video. Again, sorry for the rambling. It's been a long day. I mean, right now, where I am in Newfoundland, it's almost 1 in the morning, 12:51 as I'm cluing this recording up. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. Hopefully, you can make some sense of my thoughts. But if you enjoyed this recap, you got something out of it somehow, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 5,000 subscribers by the end of the season. I'm Josh Gosse. For the birthday boy, Jesse Poirier, I'll say goodbye for him as well, but we'll catch you in the next video.